I grew up in Didome, a small village in the Volta region of Ghana. Growing up, I would describe my childhood as challenging. I saw firsthand the vibrancy of a rural population walking several miles for water for domestic activities. Both the young and old were peasant farmers and grew just about enough to feed themselves and their families. There was no hospital, and so pregnant mothers could not have access to antenatal care. And when it was finally time for them to give birth, they resort to doing so at home. There was no primary school, and so to many children in the area, just like myself and their families, education was not an option at all. At the age of 7, my single mother made a bold decision that transformed my life for good. She became one out of 100,000 Ghanaians at the time who moved from various rural communities in search for a better life in cities. For me, this move has totally transformed my life as she navigated various menial jobs working in open farms to ensure that I saw for the first time in my life a classroom. I am here today because education has totally transformed my life. Fast forward into 2011, I started a book project that led to the donation of 300 books and provided tutoring services to children in the Didome community. As you may know, this helped, but then the greater systemic challenges of poverty, youth unemployment, hunger continued to persist even till date. Later that year, as was mentioned, I gained a scholarship to study at the African Leadership Academy in Johannesburg, South Africa. For me, as a young person, I believe that ALA presented me numerous opportunities for me to develop my skills and to meet young people from all over the continent and to rethink what I feel my contribution would be like to improving, places like Didome. What if all young people could have access to the transformative education I've had access to over the years? What if economic opportunities could be presented in places like Didome to mitigate the challenges of rural-urban migration? What if schools under trees were migrated or didn't exist at all? My name is Joseph Opoku, and I believe in a world where this is possible. I believe that the world can achieve all this. I've started realizing some of these dreams through my work with Youth Impact Workshop, which is a platform where young people design, prototype, and implement solutions to problems their communities are faced with. In the coming days, I am starting the Youth Impact Fund, which will provide funding and training primarily for young people engaged in entrepreneurial activity in rural Ghana. In doing this, I am not looking forward to returning to Didome to donate books or to provide tutoring services anymore, because I would be working towards solving greater systemic challenges by developing entrepreneurial talent to take some of these challenges head on. I believe that Africa will change. I certainly believe that. And I believe that young people would surely be at the center and at the heart of driving this change. However, no meaningful contribution, if you ask me, can come if young people do not have the capacity or do not have the skills to do so. And so I believe that I'll continue to develop my own skills through the various opportunities I've been given so that I'll be put in a better position to help develop the skills of other people. My name is Joseph Opoku, and this is my story. Thank you.
I'll tell you how old I am. I'm 38. Can you tell us how old you are?
22.
22. Okay. I wanted everyone to know that. And how old were you when you started school after your mom moved?
I started at age 9.
Age 9?
Yes.
And what grade did you start at age 9?
I started from grade 1, but then
grade 1.
Given how things work in my home country, I started very old, and you could see my height at the time, being in a classroom with kids who were way, And so, I just moved up the ranks pretty quickly because I happened to have grasped schoolwork pretty fast.
I believe that.
I just moved. I got the promotions to ensure that yes, I'm still in college at this point.
Yeah. And then, can you tell us? You talked about how influential African Leadership Academy was for you, but
yes.
What is it that happened there that helped you believe that you can change your community and your continent?
Okay, so at the African Leadership Academy, when I hear stories from my colleagues like Marvin Tarawali, who is, spearheading a whole educational revolution in his home country, Liberia. When I hear Bradley Opere start, ventures, that makes retail very easy for people in Kenya. When I look at the various powerful stories of my colleagues and the kind of things they are doing all over the continent, I am very much empowered to know that indeed the future of the continent is bright. And even though I've done a few things in the past myself, there's more I can actually do to contribute to that greater change. And the whole leadership approach ALA takes, because on our campus, we actually run student businesses and student enterprises. And so we're not learning leadership in the classroom setting where a teacher is just lecturing to you. We actually get to experience those. And I think that is what makes the model really work.
So I have one last question. I did some Google research on you. And I know that you are very interested in using media to reach youth and change youth. You did some radio work in the past, I think.
Yes.
I can't believe we made it to our third speaker and no one mentioned media or technology. I thought that's all you guys would talk about. So I'm just curious, why do you think media is such a good way to reach youth?
I think it's important. I spent several years working with the children and youth in broadcasting on children and youth rights advocacy in Ghana. And I think that media is a very powerful tool because it helps reach a lot of people, across places like Ghana, both social media, radio platforms, places where young people can capitalize on to create, very high impact change. And recently, actually, I did research together with a lot of young people from different parts of sub-Saharan Africa, and we asked young people, what are the best ways that organizations can actually reach you to get you more engaged with the activities? And they said social media. And so I believe that for organizations in this room, if you're looking at working primarily in sub-Saharan Africa and looking at ways to target young people, probably a newspaper is not the best way to do it. Reach them through social media and you'll be having greater impact with your work.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.